Sometimes, wouldn't it be just perfect if instead of a big, spacious but empty house, you can enjoy yourself in the comfort of a much smaller, cozier, personal home? Some homes and lodges get really small that it almost defies the very definition of what a furbished home should be. Nonetheless, you'll probably be more than happy living in these following top 10 tiny homes. Number 10. Slim and trim homes. How narrow can a home be? According to one Japanese home, as thin as 1.8 meters. Literally called the 1.8 meter home, designers at YUUA created this engineering wonder that sits on a very thin stretch of land. Despite its thin profile, the entire house actually has all the basic indoor facilities any typical home has. This is because it actually stands at 11 meters high and just about the same length backward. It has an adequately spacious genkin, a Japanese front entrance, with each its facilities such as the bathroom, kitchen, or personal rooms divided evenly across 4 floors. Similarly, the very slim Carrot House in Warsaw, Poland, takes the record as the narrowest home to date. Designed by Jacob Szczesny, its width is recorded at 1.2 meters, but compensates for an even higher number of floors than the 1.8 meter home in order to accommodate the same number of standard facilities. Number 9. Drina River House. The Drina River House is a tiny home that's perched on a tiny rock formation in the middle of the Drina River in Serbia. It's been there since 1969, but it wasn't exactly placed there once it was completely built. Accurate sources of its origin are no longer available, but according to what is known, the unnamed owner painstakingly built the house piece by piece after realizing that the spot was a good place to swim. It has then since served as a one-room cabin and temporary lodging for those who want to enjoy an occasional dip in the river with its owner. Today, it still stands almost perfectly pristine thanks to continued efforts to keep natural damage to it as minimal as possible. Though not particularly off-limits to visitors, the area around the house is private property. You'd most likely need an access permit first, as well as some basic paddling skills before you can reach this perched tiny lodging. Number 8. The Soul Box. Despite its ominous-sounding name, the Soul Box, or the Spirit Shelter, is actually a cozy, tiny home developed in Germany. Its native name is referred to as the Seelenkist, and it's the brainchild of designers Matthias Pruger, Manuel Rauwolf, and Ulrich Wetzel. With a total occupying area of 8 square meters, it's built out of a 2-part basic foldable wooden framework. There are 3 main sections once construction is complete: the sleeping area, the study cubicle, and the dining box. Each section is connected together vertically through a series of grated openings through the house. Even better, its access routes can effectively double up as storage compartments. While the rather modernistic exterior of its build may not fit very well with natural landscapes, its vertical orientation and portability into different components allows it to be taken down and set up almost anywhere. Unlike this Coda house, which despite having the same theme is literally just a rigid straight box. Number 7. The Toronto Tiny House. This special home sits in a tiny space between 2 full-sized homes. Built in 1912 by contractor Arthur Weeden, it's enjoyed quite a number of different renovations that's allowed it to maintain its functionality to this day. Contrary to the tiny space that it represents outside, it actually has a wide area of 28 square meters. Inside is a complete living room, a decked kitchen, and even an entire bedroom with some more space to spare. At its back, there's an area with adequate open spaces for tables and chairs, and probably a few gardening variety plants. Facilities such as water piping, electricity, and heating are also available. At the beginning of 2007, the Toronto Tiny House was sold for $135,000. It has since then been renovated once again and is today on sale for $180,000. Number 6. This Tiny Finnish Cabin. A simpler yet more sophisticated looking design is this cabin that's smack dab in the middle of a Finnish forest. Designed by Robin Falk, it's literally built with nature's retreat in mind. Immediately noticeable is the large divide between its interior quarters and its outdoor platform. It sits at about 9 square meters, with its interior occupying 4.6 square meters of the entire space. The cabin's most important feature is its large slanted window, which is capable of turning the forest scenery into a spectacular canvas of the starry skies once the night settles in. The minimalist cabin was built with recycled materials and had a total estimated cost of $10,500, excluding equipment and labor. Due to its tiny area, Robin's personal abode doesn't require a construction permit according to Finnish law. Upon completion, he then named the cabin Nido, an Italian word meaning bird's nest. It's similar in a lot of ways to this forest retreat cabin, which has a larger 28 square meter area. Before we continue this list, first take a guess at what exactly is this sealed entrance on the beach. Stick around to see what cool stuff this lair actually has inside. Number 5. The Bubble Lodge. If privacy is the least of your worries, then perhaps this transparent bubble lodge in Dornazac-Limousin, France is your tiny home of choice. Actually, it's not exactly real estate or a mobile residence. It's specifically a room for one of the fancy hotels in the area. This means that each of these bubble lodges would be located in different areas scattered throughout the commercial estate. As a temporary lodging for visitors and travelers, it's still perfectly furnished. It has everything that you'll need as a typical hotel room. Though, as it's a limited enclosed space, you'd have to wonder how guests would go to and from the bathroom facilities during times of natural urgencies. There are also hardly any artificial lighting fixtures, with only dim lamps to let guests see the immediate space around them. Hey, at least you have the best view ever of the starry night sky every single night. Number 4. The Cube Project. As far as minimalist designs go, the typical box design of the Cube Project is the simplest of the bunch so far. Started as a project by Dr. Mike Page, it's meant to demonstrate the feasibility of minimalist living, with all the conveniences of modern life optimized efficiently. As you may have guessed, the QB has a perfect square area of 9 square meters. It's installed with solar panels, and it's rated to expend just as much as the system produces. Unlike the very similar Diogenes tiny home, which was designed to be completely off-grid, the QB needs to be connected. This is both for emergency purposes and to sell off excess energy it produces. Unfortunately, it's not pre-designed with a water source, so a separate installation would be required when installing a QB1 within a specific area. Number 3. The tiniest house in the world. In an effort to demonstrate the actual absurdities of tiny homes, Boston artist Jeff Smith redecorated a long mobile crate as a livable micro-estate. Extending to just a little bit longer than 2 meters in length, it's somewhat a shrunk-down version of the already tiny Mika home. Though built simply to send a message to the public, it's as furnished as any other tiny home for its size. It has tiny wall tables, a carpeted floor, and even a roof that can even be lifted up, presumably for better ventilation. Jeff Smith planned to use the micro home as a prop for his back then upcoming short film, which would have further explored the actual objective of his project. In fact, he even listed his micro home on Airbnb to be rented for $55 a night for those who are eager enough to dare living off his smallest house in the world. Number 2. The Egg House. Hai Fei, a young 24-year-old engineer in China, was inspired to build a tiny home in the shape of an egg after a concept project that shared a similar theme. His oval project, however, is much cheaper at $964 and is much, much smaller. With a size that's similar to your average personal tent, the Egg House can only accommodate very bare necessities: a tiny table, small bedroom, a water tank, and a few electric conveniences such as lamps and mobile chargers. It has a tiny solar panel installed on its side to provide energy, and it's accessed through a hole at the top. Ironically, living in this tiny home means that Hai Fei couldn't even afford to live on the very urban landscape that aims to improve with this project. Soon, however, with a more positive reception of his budding project, this young architect may finally be able to move out of his oval abode to design better minimalist homes. Already pondered on what's actually inside our hole in the beach? If you guessed a refrigeration facility, then you are absolutely correct. Creatively named as the ground fridge, Dutch designer Floris Schoenderbeek came up with an awesome way to use his tiny tube room without using traditional power designs. All it needs is adequate underground space where it can be tucked in for thermal inertia to start its passive cooling effect. When installed, the ground fridge will keep your preserved items fresh for much longer, with its constant 10 degrees Celsius temperature all year round. That said, you could probably live in there as a ball if you love the beach life that much. Number 1. The tiniest London estate. At 17.4 square meters, this tiny home in London may seem tame compared to what we've seen so far. Still, it's considered the tiniest London estate and also the fanciest one in this list. The home is found on a tiny length of real estate in Richmond Avenue, Islington in London. Following a similar theme to the previously featured slim and trim homes, this home also went for the make-it-tall design of saving land space. Thus, this abode has almost complete facilities and perfectly furnished ones at that, allowing it to function as a regular, normal-sized home. The caveat for all of this? Its listing price is rated at something equivalent to $450,000, which is significantly higher than an average home in the UK. It definitely doesn't cater to the economic and cost-effective appeal of traditional tiny homes. However, at such design, build, and location, even minimalists will have to agree on its luxurious price tag. So, would you like to live in any of these tiny homes? And which one was your favorite? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you like this video, you'll love this other one on my friend's channel, Question King. Click the link on screen now to view it. Thanks for watching.